Alright, this is a 1916 Model 15 Miami Power Cycle, 15 cubic inch. I'm made for a few years, not a whole lot of them around. Let's crank it up and take it for a ride. Put the gas on, we'll tickle the carb a little bit till the gas runs out. Should be on right. Cut.
और किधर है नंबर प्लेट? स्टार्ट है, स्टार्ट करने में
Whizzer is a bicycle assembly kit that you really hooked onto a bicycle. So this bicycle is a roll fast, it's called. And you could order that kit and the dealer would install it for you. And it had a V-belt drive to the back wheel, and it was a single cylinder and a carburetor and one exhaust pipe with a flexi pipe coming off it. As a roll fast, it had a very nice suspension on the front too. And this particular one is very, very interesting for a lot of reasons. It's got all the little accessories on it here. It's got this neat little bulb horn that's disintegrating now, but it's still got the price tag on it from Eaton's, and nice little mirror on here and all the stuff it needed. It's got a choke over here and a throttle with a thumb operation. And of course it goes about 3 times as fast as you'd ever want to go on a bicycle. Some of the neat things about this though really come back to who owned it. This one came from Nova Scotia, and the fellow that owned this, he was in the Spring Hill mine disaster actually. And he had bought this, he'd ordered the bicycle and it had come in from Montreal, and the dealer in Montreal had put it together for him and assembled it and then shipped it down to Nova Scotia. And when they got it out of the dealership, the man got on it and he was riding it home and he fell off. And that was it. They took it home and they parked it in there, and it never went after that, and it still got the 1948 license plate on it. So it's a grand old survivor and a great story of something that would survive that long. And we're very proud of it and pleased to have it.
In 1936, there was a boom in motor scooter sales when companies like Salisbury and Cushman made quality machines. The idea of motorized bicycles was resurrected from the early 1900s by companies like Marmon, Powwow, and Wasp. They thought they could compete against the costlier scooters. The Whizzer bicycle engine was first produced in 1939 by Breen Taylor Engineering, a Los Angeles-based manufacturer of carburetors and airplane parts. By 1942, sales of the engine had not been very successful, having sold only 2,500 units. The Whizzer operation was then sold to Dietrich Kolsat and Martin Goldman. The first model was the Whizzer Model D. It featured a 1 3/8 horsepower engine. The kit sold for $54.95. They generally had a life expectancy of 1,000 miles, then they would self-destruct. In 1946, Whizzer introduced a greatly improved Model H, which sold for $97.55 and delivered 2.5 horsepower. From 1946 until 1948, they sold approximately 139,000 units. By 1943, World War II was well underway, and Whizzer Motors were forced to lobby the U.S. government for the right to continue production. They argued that the Whizzer was a great way for defense workers to travel to and from work. In 1948, the company sold its first pre-assembled motorized bicycle called the Pacemaker. Production ceased in 1965 because of the increasingly competitive bicycle engine market. The growing popularity of motor scooters and mopeds from Europe and Japan didn't help matters either. In 1997, Whizzer motorcycles were brought back into production in the same style of the originals, but with technological improvements.
This moped is a Novy Super from 1975. It's made in Belgium, in the little place Kortrijk. The engine is a 50cc 1-cylinder with a 2 gearbox. The engine is a yellow piano. Piano is mean it's been generated with a belt inside. This moped has a 2-gear with hand. You shift with the hand and you change clutch with the hand. This one is for elimination. with this button you stop the moped. It's running about 50 kilometers an hour. You put in gasoline 1 to 50. This one is for pumping the air in the tires. This one is for start the engine. When you want to start the engine, you pull down this one. And this one has for the suitcase, for carry the suitcase. It also has a very big tail light, so you can see in the dark very good. Also, the exhaust is very long because when running the oil not come in the tire. That's why it's very long. This one is the toolbox. You put in the tools and spare parts. This one is to generate the fuel to the engine.
Velosolex. So I found from trial and error how to ride this thing. So what we got to do is turn that to start. That's your choke. And we get under and pedal it and engage the front as we go. So now when you let that forward, you've got to keep the decompressor on, otherwise it skids on the tyre. So get up to about a reasonably fast pedal and then we're away. It actually basically runs on full throttle unless you pull the front brake in. And as time goes by, you need to knock that choke off. There we are, we're away. When you stop, it's a little strange because you need to sort of either disengage the front. Let me show you. So you slow down. And if you just stop, the engine wants to keep going. So as you stop, you pull it back in, and then you're away. So as you let go of the brake, that revs the engine. I'll show you when you pull away in a minute what you have to do. So it just holds it firm there. So to pull away, you start pedalling. and gouge that into the tyre. There we go. That's it. Perfect. Coming up the hill's kind of a little bit interesting. I'll show you that in a sec. You get down to the bottom here, we'll go up the slope. These are apparently regulated at 20 mph top speed. I don't quite know whether that's real or whether that's all a 0.8 brake horsepower engine will do. Anyway, so we've got this hill coming up here. You'll like this. So then you get progressively slower. It's labouring now. When it gets down to a pace where you think you can pedal it, you join in the fun. So it's actually climbing up here alright. But if you want to pedal in, we're there. Something that is quite slightly disturbing, you see that vent there on the fuel cap? That's obviously so the tank can breathe because it has a fuel pump, but it sprays back onto your leg, so probably best not to smoke if you've got one of these. Anyway, there we go.